Hi, I'm Sam, and in this video I want to explain you how to learn handstands on a slackline. So when you're on the ground, you basically balance with your wrist, and the body has to be as stiff as possible, and you just can control everything up here. When you're on the slackline, like everything is just moving. The slackline is just tilting to the side and it will not work. So when you're on the slackline, you basically have to balance everything out of the shoulder and a little bit out of your hip. So the wrist is not of any importance anymore here, you just have to stabilize. But the cool thing on the slackline is you have your wrist like in a more or less straight position, so it's a healthier thing also for your wrist because you're like not pressed down like this. So let's start on the slackline. When you're a beginner in handstands on a slackline, you should take a line that is more or less tight, because otherwise the movement in the shoulders just becomes too big. But at the end you will need a line with some sag that you can even balance, because a tight line you will not manage to balance because there is just not enough movements in the shoulder, and also the slackline is moving just too fast that you would have time to balance. But before jumping into the slackline, I want to understand how the slackline is moving, and for that I can like sit down onto the slackline with my hands on the line and just see like how it reacts, because at the beginning when you do that for the first time, the line will shake uncontrollably, and like this you can already get some control before jumping into the handstand. So now I have some control. I can grab the slackline, which is quite close to the ground, like normally in a width of your shoulders. And as you can see here, I don't try to straighten my legs. I try to have one leg on this side and one leg on this side. This helps me balance a bit. As soon as you feel more or less comfortable on a slackline, just take the next longer or the next saggier slackline to just be able to balance better. And like this you can proceed as fast as you can to a slackline that has about 1.5 meters of sag. And in the end I feel it's even easier if you take a stretchy slackline that is made of nylon. Okay, to just jump into a handstand position, you don't have to be a real handstand pro. It's enough if you manage to hold a handstand on the ground for like 5 seconds to start handstanding on a slackline. And actually it's really a lot of fun because every slackline is different, so you will become much more versatile than just handstanding on the ground, and it really stabilizes your joints like the elbows, the shoulders, and the whole core strength will be trained by that. But now comes the really tough part, like pushing yourself into handstand position from standing on the line. Because if you want to do it on a highline, for example, or also on a slightly longer line, you will have to be able to press yourself up. And for that you should be able to make like a nice Swiss press on the ground. Okay, so to press yourself up, you should be able to stand in a nice exposure position on the slackline. Then you go down with your hand to the slackline, and in the way that you can still balance, you have to take off one leg from the line. And then you have to make the transition to really put a lot of strength into your arms, so you really start pressing down out of your shoulders, and you try to take the balancing leg and to press the knee against your chest, because like this you're really small and it's easier to turn up on your hand. And it will be really hard at the beginning, but I figured out it's probably the easiest way to press yourself up from a standing position. As a pre-exercise to press up on the slackline, you can also learn to jump into the handstand and try to get down onto your feet in a controlled way. And with the shoulder opening, in a normal handstand you try to like lock your arm in a really straight position, but the slackline is moving. So if you're really in a straight position and the slackline is moving to this side, you will overbend and you will of course fall down. So it's all in all a little better to have a slight angle here, so this way you can move to both sides, but of course it takes a lot of strength to hold it in this position. So I would really recommend to work on the shoulder opening too, also if you wanna handstand on the slackline, because this will give you the option to go further back in the correcting position. And when you stand in a handstand position, you really have to press up with the hands. Don't stay like passive, but press up. It's, in my opinion, even more important than on the ground to really press up on the slackline. Be careful when you try your first presses, because if your shoulders are suddenly giving in, then you might fall onto your head. And the best reaction is you just pull your hands towards your hips, and then you can turn around the line, but for that the line needs to be at least like 60-70 centimeters high